Marie, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to speak with you today.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you. Thank you.
Of course. So, first and foremost, the thing I really want to get into is to find out more about your psychic mediumship. I don't know if I made up that word, mediumship, but how did you realize that you had these gifts and how did you start, like how did you teach yourself to really use it to help others?
Um, through like different classes and things like that during the years, but when I was 4 would be really kind of like when I had my first experiences of hearing things and just feeling things so deeply. And I love parents today that accept it with their children, and it just makes my heart so big when I hear that, because for me it was a when I went into my parents' room the first time saying, "Hey, there's people in there, they're talking." They humored me the first time. And the second time I asked them to go in, I got yelled at. So I knew that it was something never to talk about. I knew I was different. And everybody, like, you want to fit in. You don't want to be different. You want to fit in. So I feel like for a big part of my life, I was just trying to fit in until one day I said, why do I want to fit in? It's kind of like the light bulb went off one day and it's like, that's ridiculous. I'm just tired of trying to fit in. Now I'm just going to be me. And I feel like that's kind of like when the door started opening again for me, because I shut it down for so many years. Then it started opening again, like, oh, okay, we hear you. We're going to see if you mean it. And I just was in that frame of mind that I did mean it. And then I started on my journey of learning more.
Awesome. So, can you explain to those who may not understand what it means to be a psychic medium?
So, what it means to be a psychic medium is a medium connects with your loved one on the other side, and psychic is getting future things. Um, Maybe if you're asking about, hey, I'm going to put my house on the market, what are you seeing that it's going to go for? That type of thing is more psychic information, where mediumship is I'm connecting with your loved ones that have passed on the other side. And I'm bringing through their characteristics of how they were here in life. And for me, I'm really good about in a reading spitting out what I'm seeing, hearing, and feeling. And sometimes every now and then I'll get the smell thing where I'm like, whoa, grandma like wore really heavy perfume. And they'll start laughing, going, oh my God, she did. She was known for it. We were just laughing about it last week. So that, and with the seeing, hearing, and feeling, it's a when I say the seeing and the hearing, it's in here. So it's kind of like when you're recalling an event that happened. Oh, I was on the beach. The water was so blue and it was amazing. And then you start seeing it, but it's in here. It's like third eye seeing. And also with the hearing, it's a like when you're talking to yourself and saying, oh, I need to get this at the store and this, and you can kind of hear your thoughts in there. That's what it's like for me hearing spirit. It's all in here. And then it's this big feeling knowing of, and I'll get my chills head to toe, which is them validating for me what they're saying.
Awesome. So, what do you say to people who might be skeptics? Like you said, growing up, you had this gift and you realized like it wasn't something that you should talk about and it made you different from other kids or other people in general. So, what do you say to people who are skeptic of your gift and what you do and just don't believe that you're able to get in contact with people who've passed on or get psychic visions about what might happen in the future?
Um, so even if you're a skeptic, I mean, I get a lot of skeptics that come in for readings. There is I don't want to say a fine line, but there's the healthy skeptic that kind of comes in as like, I am so open for this reading. I really hope this happens. I'm open for it. Whatever comes through, I'm open for it. And then there's this skeptic. Well, prove it to me. I don't believe it. Prove it. Don't come to me if you're that skeptic. Just don't. Save your money and don't, because you are blocking all the good gems that would come in. That's what happens when you're doing this, because you're shutting everything down. So that healthy skeptic that comes in and goes, I'm really not sure about this, never done this before, I don't know, but I'm open. That's the one that's going to get really fun surprises of the gems that come in that there is no way I would know. There's the little fun things that, and I'm right there with the person I'm reading for going, oh, really? Oh my God, let's see what else they have to say. Because I love spirit and I find it really fun and fascinating, everything that they have to say. Because I love the validations, because it's only helping everybody, because our loved ones want to help us on the other side. They want to make life easier for us. They want to steer us in the right direction. They want to save us time. They want to save us money. They want to help us. So I love the validations that come through, and especially those where there's no way she would know that. Like, it could be a conversation that happened the day before that I'll start picking up on because they're telling me. And the client's sitting there going, oh, there's no way you would know that. There's no way. That kind of thing will come in. But if you're like this, it's not going to come in.
Right.
It's
So
not.
if the
For me, it's
yeah,
not. You might sign up with a medium that will bust through that. I guess I don't want to bust through it. I don't. It
right.
already is so much energy that I use for a reading that I don't want to have to bust through this anymore. So
Yeah,
like
like that.
I send the universe out there going, thank you for all those open-minded people that you send my way. And their heart is open for the reading. And they can be skeptics. That's awesome. Please, yes, but have an open heart.
Right, right. I totally understand that whole having it be a little bit harder to do readings for people who are skeptic and also have a closed heart and they're not open to the experience at all. Then why even seek out a psychic medium? Um, but
Yeah.
I'm curious to know, since you're a psychic medium, what has that taught you about life and death? How do you view that?
Um, so I don't have fear wrapped around it. And it's the whole fun concept of time. What is time? What it really is time. So it's kind of like that whole thing mixed in with it. But with life, I'm always trying to do what I can here to be a better person and to do good things. But I also know I'm going to be coming back. I also believe in karma. So we're all here having this human experience. And sure, do I hurt people, but not meaning to? Yeah. But I immediately go back and own it and give my apologies. Part of it is because I don't want to carry it over into next time. So I'm going to make sure I take care of it this time. And I really have been better about that in the last 20 years, I'm going to say,
Okay.
where I have a full understanding of, oh, I don't want to come back with that. I got to attend to that right away. Plus, it's not just that I don't want to come back with that, but it's I feel how I hurt them and I didn't mean to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I need to take care of that now.
Right. So when you say coming back, you're talking about reincarnation.
Reincarnation. I definitely believe that this is not our first time around.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe in that we've all had many lives. We've all experienced different things, and we carry over some things from past lives to this life that we need to work on. Um, so I don't, to answer that question, with death, I, of course, I used to have a lot of fear wrapped up around death, and I don't anymore.
Mm,
I don't.
right. And, how were you able to when did you realize, I should say, that we reincarnate? Is that something that you were able to validate from talking to people who've like crossed over and gone to the other side?
Yes. And when you have those things, like for me, I used to have this thing with crossing over bridges. And
Mm-hmm.
especially if I'm crossing over a bridge and there's like ocean, like bigger bodies of water,
Mm-hmm.
where I would literally have to stop and go, okay, now how can I get out of the car? And okay, I can get my seatbelt undone. And then when I had kids, okay, I'd get that one out first. And like the whole rescue mission always was going through my mind. I drowned in a past life. Like the
Mm,
vehicle went off a bridge.
mm,
So that's why if I was on a boat, that wasn't going through my mind.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
It was a car going over a larger body of water
mm. And
with like a bridge.
how did you know that was from a past life?
It was I had a past life done, and it
Regression? Okay.
and it came up in there where I thought, oh, I thought so, but now you're validating this.
Mm, mm. Yeah, that's awesome. I've been wanting to do a past life regression for some time, but I haven't done that. So let's dive into your book since we're talking about life and death. So you wrote a book that called There Is No Death, Only Life. Can you talk about what all of that is about and why you decided to write it?
So I decided to write the book. My mom passed in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
And she had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and she was in, I mean, complete denial.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, my mom was a nurse, and then she went back to school and got her master's and became a therapist. But there was a lot of fear wrapped around with dying. And I didn't realize this until the very end. And she didn't even tell me like the cancer came back. I basically stumbled upon it. I wasn't feeling that things were right. I was feeling like something was a little off. And so I flew back to Florida and asked her doctor, like immediately went to the hospital and said, all right, what's going on? Because she had gotten sick again. Well, the cancer's back. I'm like, what? Does she know? What do you mean? I just talked to her. She said it's not back. So she was lying to me. And he said, no, it's back. And she has like 10 or 15 days. So here I walked in on this, not even knowing the cancer came back, to she has 10 or 15 days left. And I immediately looked at him. I said, does my mom know? Does my dad know? Because both of them were in complete denial. And he looked at me and he said, no, they know. So out of respect for my mother, I did not talk about it. And because that wasn't going to serve her with me, going in there, okay, mom, let's talk about this. And it's not something to fear. That wouldn't have been fair to her because that's not what she wanted. So I think that during these times, we need to throw our ego out the door and really know what's best for our loved ones. And even though that this is what I teach and this is my beliefs, my mom needed to do this her way. And I was going to honor that. So during her whole experience, I kept thinking, I need to write a book. So many people are in fear about this. I need to write a book. So that was in 2009, 2019, the book came out, where I just finally got serious. In fact, the book took me like 3 months because I was on a mission. It was like, all right, I got to get this book out. I'm going to do this now and it's going to get done. And I have had clients contact me and say, you know what, Maria, thank you. It did take the fear out for me. I had so much fear wrapped around death that I really don't now. I've got client stories in there about their loved ones and their passing and types of things like that.
Awesome. So it's just kind of the book is focused on trying to teach people how to grieve. Is that correct?
Um,
Or prepare for death?
um, Giving them some, I'm shedding light on it. That's how I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to put it. I'm shedding light on the experience of death.
Okay.
I'm just shedding light on it. And the whole, it doesn't have to be this horrible thing. It just doesn't have to be. And it's all of us are going to end up with this experience of death. It's there is no way out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a just trying to shed light on it and take the fear out of it. So it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to be such a painful experience.
Why in from, all the work that you've been doing, from all the clients that you've spoken with, why do you think people are so scared of death?
Because they don't know
Mm-hmm.
what. So I had a good example for this is I had one client who was helping with her brother's passing, and her brother was in a coma. And yes, you can communicate with people in a coma and their wishes and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And she came to me and she said, Maria, I don't understand it. He should have been gone a week ago.
Mm.
He is holding on. She said, even the hospice people are not getting it. Like, just about everything is shut down, but he is still there. There's something
Mm-hmm.
going on with him. So I connected with him and I stopped and I said, oh my gosh, he thinks he's going to hell.
Oh wow.
He thinks he's going to hell. He's done quite he feels that he has done some really bad things that are unforgivable
Mm-hmm.
and that he is going to hell. And like right away, she got like big eyes and some tears. And she goes, Maria, that makes so much sense.
Mm.
We were having a conversation before a couple months ago, and he said those words.
Mm.
And I said, okay, I said, he hears you when you're in the room. And we now need to get some Bible quotes
Mm-hmm.
that are validation of that he's not going to be going to hell. And we did. In fact, there was another woman that happened to be there that was very familiar with the Bible. And she goes, I'm on it.
Mm.
I'm on it. And I said, get 12 for me. I said, I keep seeing the number 12, get 12 quotes for me. She had him immediately. And later that night, she had her brother's wife put the phone up to his ear and she read the quotes off. She told him how much he's loved, that it's okay to go. And now I can't predict when people are going to pass. I just
Mm-hmm.
can't. But when she contacted me later that night, I said, listen, he's going to, and it's going to be earlier in the day, not
Mm-hmm.
later. I said, because I can feel that he's more like this now,
Mm-hmm.
like letting go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I said, but that is not up to me. I said, that's for a higher power. I said, I'm just going to tell you how I'm feeling and how he's making me feel. And by noon, he had let go and he was gone.
Mm. Wow, that's a
So,
interesting
yeah,
story. Yeah. So speaking of hell, that really caught my attention. Is there like I don't know if it's like how could you possibly know, but
there is no hell. So
okay.
there is no hell. Out of all the years, and I've been doing this for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard a spirit say, oh my God, is it hot over here? There is
Mm-hmm.
hell. No. How they always show it to me is these different levels. And they're going to start out somewhere, but they're always going and to these different levels because they're always learning new things over there, new lessons, I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I also feel like they're replaying things that did not go well here.
Mm.
So those are kind of replaying and they're learning different things over there.
Interesting. Super cool stuff. I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to this because I'm, constantly listening to near death experiences that people have, and just like what you said about there being different levels is something that I've definitely heard in a couple of near death experience like accounts, I should say. So that's very, very interesting to me. I'm someone who um I, death definitely is something that scares me, more of like losing people that I love, and that grief. But I also, it's not a subject that I want to shy away from because I think we don't prepare enough for death. Like nobody wants to talk about it. It's very hush hush, but it's something that's part of life. And not to be morbid, right? The goal is to live a long life, but I do think, understanding that that is part of a journey that we're going to experience, I do think it allows us to kind of be more intentional in the life that we're living.
Exactly, exactly. I agree with that. And I love that you say that you're a bit of a nerd about this. I always tell people I am such a geek about all this stuff. And I really do get excited with people's readings and the stuff that comes in. I find it all so fascinating. And this is what I do every day.
Mhm.
So every day I'm sitting like, how lucky am I?
Mhm.
And I give gratitude every day, and I'm so respectful to spirit. But I love it, and I am the biggest geek about all this stuff. I find it so fascinating.
Fascinating. Absolutely. Okay, so I have a question for you. So when you started, getting messages from spirit, did it scare you knowing that you were contacting people who had passed on? And the reason why I'm asking is because some people have these gifts and they're petrified of it. So I'll start off with the first part of the question is, how, like, were you scared and how were you able to overcome it if you were?
I wasn't. Again, I
Oh,
was a
wow.
geek about it, going,
Mhm.
oh, well, this is cool. I got to learn more about this
Mhm.
because so after I decided, okay, I'm opening this door, I'm going to learn more. I want to develop this. Then things started flooding in more.
Mhm.
And I just always find everything about it fascinating. And if people really look like, I'm going to say signs, Spirit is always showing us stuff with signs every day, especially if we're asking, like, should I be with this person? I had one, and it was years ago where I was sitting there going, I don't know. I don't think this relationship's really working out. And this is all going through my head as we're in the car. And I look over and there's a dead white horse in a field
Wow.
where I literally had to say, do you see that dead white horse over there? Because I'm like, am I seeing things?
Mhm.
And then we were going to lunch. And when we came back, I'm like, can you go by that field again? 'Cause in my mind, I'm going, it was just sleeping.
Mhm.
It was sleeping. No, it was dead. We went back and, it was still like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this relationship needs to end. That was
Mm.
my,
That was
that
a
was my
sign.
answer right there.
Mhm.
So if we open our eyes and we're listening, we will get the answers.
Mm. So do you think everyone is psychic? Has psychic abilities?
I think that everybody has these gut instincts
Mhm.
where I'm going to start with the gut, where either you feel like, oh, I don't trust that person, or I really trust that person, that kind of a thing. So really it's tuning in on that gut more. It's tuning in on it more and trusting it. Because then, and we're human, we are here on this planet having a human experience. And we might say, oh, I don't trust that person. Oh boy, now I feel mean even saying that, that will go and do whatever. And then it's oh, I was right.
Mm.
Totally got robbed. I would have saved money and time. And oh my gosh, I wish I would have listened.
Mm. Mm. Yeah.
But it's lessons. The universe is also always teaching us lessons. So it's also to say, you know what? Thank you for that lesson. I'm not going to be repeating that. And thank you.
Mm, mm, that's a good one. This has been such an eye-opening conversation and so interesting. I guess the final question is, do you have any final words of wisdom to the A Word to the Wise listeners?
I love the Eleanor Roosevelt quote, you must do the thing that you think you cannot do.
Mm,
So it's stretching yourself into that space of where you feel uncomfortable, because that's where the great things are going to happen. If you're all comfy cozy, you need to get out of that space because
that's
nothing's going to happen.
that's great. And that's timely in my life, and I'm sure that that's timely in a lot of people's lives right now. So thank you so much, Marie. This has been great. I'm going to leave all of your contact information and your website and where people can find you in the show notes if anybody wants to
Thank
reach
you.
out.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I appreciate it. And this was wonderful. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.